Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game I'm playing the Tier 9 Italian destroyer Adriatico. These are interesting ships. Now I've seen some other reviews, and there were questions like, what is the idea behind these? These are not all that effective. In general, I would say that the overall impression of these has not been all that favorable, but I still think they can be fun, and this is a really good example, this game, of kind of the strengths of not just the Adriatico, but of kind of the line, I would say, from like Tier 7 on, to varying degrees. Now, in most cases, the Tier 10 is going to be superior. It's debatable. I mean, you have a little bit better concealment, I think, on the Adriatico, but the idea is similar, and you'll see kind of how I played. Now, I make no claims to being super unicum. I'm not trying to tell anybody here's the most effective way to play it. I can only tell you how I played it, and that I had some success playing it this way. So let me tell you a little bit about the ship itself. You've got 3 turrets. You can see 2 barrels per turret there. So a total of 6 guns. Firing arcs, okay. I mean, you've got 2 turrets up front, which makes rushing down DDs really nice. You can see you've got high explosive shells, and you've got the semi-armor piercing shells. Now those semi-armor piercing shells, they can be very, very effective. The reload rate on these guns, not great, which you'll see, but usually sufficient, I guess would be a good way to put it. The base reload is 5.7 seconds, and I would say the turret rotation, while not great, is not horrible either. It's 18 seconds without any help. Rotating the turrets 180 degrees. Now, what am I doing here? I don't want to go into the cap necessarily, but I do want to try to land torpedoes on something. You can see the 12-kilometer range on the torps, so I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm here by going into the cap, and I'm going to hope the torpedoes get there. Max dispersion, at max range. Now the range on these guns, and you can see it right there on the minimap, 9.5 kilometers. It's terrible, but against destroyers, it can really work in your favor. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into the cap and hope that the Conqueror is going to just try and rush that much faster to get behind the island. Maybe he turns it a little bit just to make sure he gets behind the island. And if he does, I'm really hoping my torpedoes are going to land. The max damage on the HE shells is 1950 per shell with a 9% fire chance. The max damage on the SAP shells, the SAP, 3050. Yeah, I'm going to catch the Conqueror there with at least a couple of them. Now the torpedoes. Well, you can see, they're not very fast. In fact, they're just plain slow. Now I do land 3 there, and not a whole lot of damage. A little less than 27,000. He's doing some flooding, I think, but not great damage for sure. Now you've got a total of 8 torpedoes. You got 4 per set, so you get 2 4 torpedo sets. Let's see if I can get torpedoes on the Patria. Looks like he may be accelerating. Get out there. I'll throw another one across that way. No, back this way. One's going to hit the island there, I think. That's alright. The maximum damage on the torpedoes is only 10,000. So it's really kind of anemic by really anybody's count. I mean, these are like the pan-European destroyer damage, and they're super slow. Speed 56 knots without any help. 56 knots. That is pretty pathetic. If they had maybe 63 to 67 kilometers, that would help a lot. Or knots. That would really help a lot. But they don't. So you got to make do with what you have. Kind of like if you're playing what has really slow torpedoes. The Sims. or the black, the U.S. destroyer line. Kind of like that. Now, you can see on that flank, they've got the small one out there. He can light up our Yugamo, and he's doing that. Now, I've managed to secure a cap, and a couple of our guys secured the alpha cap. Right now, the bad guys are down a Fletcher. We're down a Sherman. Not a good trade. Sherman is a very good destroyer, and our Sherman player got caught with a torpedo. Now, why am I pushing up here? Let's take a minute and talk about that. I'm pushing up here because I want to get torpedoes behind some of these battleships. I'm trying to separate them. I'm trying to create a wedge. This map, it's got limited effectiveness to do that, and I don't often go much farther north than I am right now. You'll see that I may go a little farther north as things begin to look a little uglier for the team. Down in the right-hand corner of your screen, you can see Schlieffen, Alaska, Yugamo, and Patry versus Paolo and Schmalland, and then way up north, Conde and Patry. It would look like our guys should have that, but as things continue forward, you'll see that there's a lot of potato happening, and there's only so much you can do. I'm waiting to see if Conqueror is going to keep reversing. I'm just hoping to catch him and head back down south. I don't want to get caught by these destroyers coming through that gap. I don't think I would survive very long if I did. The smoke, it doesn't run for very long from the time that you click to activate it. Now the base surface concealment on this ship is 8.52 kilometers. And Conqueror, well, he must have felt a disturbance in the force. He's turned broadside to our, well, really, I guess only the Conqueror. And right now, we're down 2 destroyers, Sherman and Yugamo. Yugamo got himself caught up there. I imagine Small and radared him, and that was that. I do manage to land a torpedo, but that's not going to do much. These things just don't do enough damage. So why do I bring up the detectability? Because, well, you've got this rolling smoke, right, that you can hit speed boost and you can run toward an opponent. That's really dangerous. You don't have hydro. So if you're doing that against say a destroyer, it backfires about as often as it works, at least in my experience. Because you don't have any way to anticipate their torpedoes. Your torpedoes are blatantly slow. You can see the firing arcs on these torpedoes, definitely not all that great. And like I mentioned earlier, the only thing we have left on this flank now, in that, down there by the Alaska, is the Alaska. Everything else has been sunk. Now we lose our Schultz, and just like that, we're down 4 ships. We lost Sherman, we lost Schultz, we lost Yugamo. Yeah, that's not good. So it's time for me to fall back. I'm pretty sure they're going to be heading, the bad guys going to be heading for the Charlie Cap now. So really I'm just trying to cover the Alaska's escape, essentially. And then I'll try to get torpedoes on things as they move into sea, the Charlie Cap. I'm angling slightly away. And I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to hope to get an opportunity to ambush one of these destroyers if it comes around this corner. But you can see the nearest ship to me. You can see the radio location indicator is kind of pointing north. So there's probably nobody there. Alaska's just radared. So now I need to just focus this way and hope that he's going to run south. Guns are rotating. That's right, I'll just back up right here. Sit here on the beach. And my goal is going to be to get torpedoes on the Patria as it comes through. If we lose the cap, well, we just do. I'm just looking at my detection radius to where the Patria was. I'm trying to get outside of that. You can see right now my detection radius, 6.9. I'm outside that. He doesn't really have a choice but to continue on his course because he's got those islands right there. And I'm going to just kind of loop back around this direction. I'm still trying to keep destroyers from getting around behind my team. They do secure that cap, and I'm really hoping the Patria is going to continue to move out. And he is, and even though these torpedoes do very little damage, that's definitely going to hurt. Paolo Emilio is going to move out, so I can get guns on him. I'm pretty sure Smallland is up there as well. Paolo Emilio uses his smoke. I do manage to get a little damage on him. And now I'm probably going to be pushing into Smallland if I head north, so I'm debating. I really want to help finish this guy off. On the other flank, our guys are in full retreat. You can see Moskva, Edgar, Iowa, Dalarna as our Moskva gets sunk. All I have is my rear guns here. But Conqueror does finish off the Paolo Emilio. Now I'm looking, we've got 9 minutes, we have a lead, but we're down 2 caps to 1 now, and the bad guys have an extra ship. Here come his torpedoes, which are very short range. So at this point, we've got half our team gone. They've got an extra ship. We've got 2 battleships, 2 cruisers, and 2 destroyers. They've got 3 destroyers, 3 cruisers, and a battleship. So it really is a game of destroyers. So I'm going to try to help finish off this Smallland. Now Alaska's got him picked up, but I won't even have a shot for probably another 30 seconds or so. I'm going to count on him not using radar. If he does and he sees me coming, it'll be close. I've got full health and he's only got 14,000, but the guns on the Smallland are really great. That's 4,000 damage. Reload again, not fantastic, but there's 5,000. You can see he's starting to chunk me pretty good. I need one more volley. There it is. Okay, so I lost about 10,000. He lost 14,000. And that is kind of the strength of the SAP shells. They do a lot of damage to destroyers. Now that's a really good player right there, and he knows exactly what he's doing as Yamagiri takes out our Iowa. We're down to 5 ships, bad guys now have 6. I've got to try and retake this cap, but I have to watch for torpedoes here. Our Alaska, just, I think maybe not a very good shot. Just doing chip damage on the Conda. Now, Alaska didn't have to come into this cap. He didn't have to keep chasing the Conda, but he does. He keeps chasing. He's trying to get behind cover. But you can see there's another big chunk of damage. And I'm realizing Alaska is probably going to get sunk here. And now the closest ship is there. And this is over. We're down to 4 ships. They've still got 6. Our Alaska is no match for that Conda. I mean, in capable hands, maybe. I've thrown torpedoes out that way because that's the way the indicator is telling me the nearest ship is located. Maybe I catch somebody, maybe I don't. But it's gonna be a minute or so till I get back down here where I could get these torpedoes to work on the south end of the map. And I think I have to help here. Conqueror, there's no way he survives this. Maybe he can finish the Puerto Rico. No. Okay, so it's me and the Delarna versus the Schultz, a Montana, Puerto Rico, Ibuki, and there's the Puerto Rico radar. I've got to try and get behind this island. And I'm just going to sit here until the radar dies. I think Conda went around the back side of the islands along the 9 line, so I don't have to worry about him just yet. I don't think, but that's why I'm sitting here. Puerto Rico's going to try and rush me down, but his radar isn't going to last long enough. Okay, his radar's down. You can see he's right at my detection range, but I have smoke. He's lit up by our Delarna. Aim a little higher. It's a little bit better damage. Puerto Rico's tough. Now I'm seeing the Schultz there. And one blind fire there. But now I think Puerto Rico's in trouble. And I'm moving back in range of the Schultz. I want to be able to finish him off as well. Some help from the Delarna. I get him. And you know, this game's not going to be a win, but it's it's still fun. So I come out of the smoke, and what do I see? Yamagiri. He's right in front of me. 2.9 kilometers away. I mean, he's literally right there. And I know his torpedoes are going to be coming. So my goal here is just to avoid the torpedo strike and put this semi-armor piercing into his broadside. So I'm going to have to slow down and turn in and try to avoid the torpedoes altogether. But if I can't avoid them, I need to try and navigate between them. And this ship is not particularly maneuverable. Now, our Delarna, he's going to be headed for the A cap. That's plain. We're about to lose the Charlie cap. They've got 845 points. At this point, I realize this game is over. But I still want to do everything I can here to make the Reds sorry that they came this way. So we'll just fast forward here. Or just continue our... Okay, so I take a little chip damage. He takes a massive amount of damage. He's rethinking this whole thing. And I'm just going to use the front guns. And you see there's the torpedoes. I'm turning in, I'm slowing down. And I can get right between this little wedge here. It's going to be close, and I managed to avoid them. See if I can avoid burning down. I want to fire basically where that Yamagiri sank, but if I do, they're just wasted. But if I burn down, I'm not doing anybody any good, and I can't repair for 10 seconds. So I wanted to get the torpedoes away. Montana, he's turning in, so I think my torpedoes are going to be for naught. It's a fun ship. This whole line, I think, is kind of fun to play. If you've never tried them and you like destroyers, I recommend giving them a whirl. You can't really, oh, that's a nice thing to see. You can't really use these as like you would a Japanese torpedo boat. You can't really use these like you would Harugumo or Småland or Ragnar or Friesland. You can't use them as just a strictly gun because they don't have the range to be a gunboat. These guns are particularly effective against destroyers, which means you have to be in close. But it's a it's a real tightrope walk, because if you get close in a lot of games, now this map kind of forces you into different zones of the map, right? Because you got all these islands. So where the cap circles are, that's kind of where most of everything that's going to be going on, rather than a map that's a little bit less, I don't know, predetermined. It's difficult to describe it. If you play the game, you know what I mean. Some maps are more conducive to being able to move around, where these maps, you pretty much know where the torpedoes are going to be coming from, where the ships are going to be, because you can see if the cap is turning. Like, I know the conda came through Charlie, and he's probably south now, and you can see the little pie-shaped wedge on the mini-map. It tells you right where he's at. He's in that zone, and he's probably moving right at me, trying to run me down. Anyway, these are fun. I enjoy playing it. I'm trying to finish up a couple of the newer lines. Like right now, I'm using on the what I consider pathetic Imperial Japanese Navy light cruiser line. I'm in the tier 9 of that, and you know, you can land shells all day long, and they say they're going to do some damage, but they just don't. It's like shooting marshmallows at the bad guys. You can start a few fires, but you know, they're made of glass. Yeah, those torpedoes are not going to hit the Montana. And at this point, Delarna's going to secure that cap, but we just don't have time. There's just 2 minutes left. They've got 926 points. They've got 2 caps, and they're just going to run away from me. So I'm not going to be able to get my Kraken. I can put torpedoes in this gap here, but they're so slow. There's not much chance of me being able to catch that Ibuki. And he's probably accelerating right now, trying to get through there and behind the island. So that's going to be the game. I recommend trying these if you like destroyers. They are very challenging to play effectively. So, you know, don't have any illusions that these are super ships, because they're not. They're, in my opinion, very difficult to be effective with. I would consider them more something to challenge yourself with if you are a DD main. And they can be real fun, like this one was, but your mileage may vary. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.